Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you just after Mikel Arteta's press conference. He's had a little bit early this week. Usually it'd be a couple of days before the weekend match, but he's had it on Wednesday morning this week, and quite some interesting stuff spoken about. Not really too much about the game, as you would expect, given it's still some way off, but certainly some interesting stuff. He talked about those links with Barcelona, talked about summer transfer business, Folarin Balogun's contract, Mavropanos, Saliba, plenty of stuff. So I thought I'd just pop on here now and go over exactly what he had to say on certainly on the most interesting topics, and give my sort of opinions on some of the things we've had said. And like always on these videos, please do anything you want to comment or question about, then hit it down there in the comments below, and I'll do my best to go through as many of them as I can. So let's get started, and we've got to start with the Barcelona links. I mean, this is the big headline grabbing story certainly this week, with reports in Spain linking Mikel Arteta with a possible top job at Barcelona should Juan Laporta win the upcoming presidential elections at the Camp Nou. Now, it has to be said that since those reports emerged from Spain, that came from RC1, it's since been played down by people close to Laporta that Arteta is his sort of main potential candidate to take over from Ronald Koeman. And indeed Ruben, one of our very excellent reporters from Goal, based over in Spain, has also written a story that went online yesterday, again sort of reiterating those comments that from his information Arteta is not one of the big candidates to take over from Koeman should Laporta win the presidential elections. But anyway, he was asked about it and the links and what he thought of them, and this is what he had to say. He said, "There is always going to be speculation when there are elections in Barcelona. It's a huge team. Obviously, I was raised there as a player, and there's always going to be linked. I'm fully focused, though, on the job that I have here, and we have a lot to do. I'm really enjoying it. Today and tomorrow, I'm the manager of Arsenal Football Club. I'm really enjoying it, and I want to do much better than what we have done before." He also went on to add that he was happy and privileged to be the manager of Arsenal. So fairly strong comments there from Mikel about the Barcelona job. Now, for me, I know plenty of you aren't even happy with the job he's doing at Arsenal, let alone should he go and somehow get the Barcelona job. I personally, you know my thoughts on Arteta. I think he's a very, very good, exciting manager, and I'm still confident that should he be given the time at Arsenal, that he will turn things around and do a very, very good job. I can certainly see the foundations being put to make Arsenal a lot more competitive than they have been in the last few seasons. I think it'd be very, very unlikely for me that Laporta would look to replace well, not replace Koeman, because I imagine he probably will replace Koeman should he win the presidential elections, but I doubt he would go for Arteta, just because I think that's going to be such a huge job. I mean, you think Arsenal are a mess, you look at Barcelona, and this is going to be most likely the post-Messi Barcelona as well. You know, what you need you'd think you need a really experienced, strong manager to possibly take that. They're in an absolute financial meltdown at the moment, Barcelona. There's messes all over the place. We've seen all the arrests that have taken place this week over in Spain with that club. Like I said, it looks like Messi's going to be going in the summer. I mean, that is a huge job for whoever eventually replaces Ronald Koeman, who you imagine will be replaced by whoever wins the presidential elections, because it always felt like a stopgap appointment, that one, and I'm just not sure that Arteta, given his lack of experience, would be the man for that job. And I also think as well that for him, as well as a huge job that Barcelona potentially is, and it is obviously one of the biggest clubs in the world, so is Arsenal, but you know, it's Barcelona and he's from Barcelona. You'd be looking at that thinking, you know, would I really want that to be the manager who comes in after Messi leaves and try and sort out the absolute mess that has been left behind by previous regimes and the dreadful transfer business that has been done there? I'm not so sure. He's certainly got a big job at Arsenal, but the job at Barcelona is going to be absolutely mammoth for whoever takes over from Ronald Koeman. So I'm not sure he'd be too keen on that anyway, even if Barcelona were potentially interested in taking him, or Juan Laporta was interested in taking him. He was also asked about his contract at Arsenal. He's got 2 years left now, Mikel Arteta, on his contract at Arsenal. Well, he will have 2 years left, at the end of the season. That's still the same contract that he signed when he replaced Unai Emery in December 2019. Obviously, since then, he has been promoted from head coach to manager, but he didn't get a new contract as part of that promotion, so he's still on the same one. And obviously, these links with Barcelona sort of raise the chatter about a new contract and things like that, and he was asked about it. He said there's been no talks with Arsenal, and when he was asked if that's something he would like to see happen at the moment, he said, we're in the middle of the season, we have a lot to play for, and at the moment it's not a priority. I still have a contract here, and I am happy here. I don't think that's something urgent. I think that's certainly, as he suggested there, should Mikel's future be discussed, and I imagine it will be pretty soon, given he's soon going to be entering the last 2 years of his deal. That will be something for the summer, not right now in the middle of what is an absolutely manic season, and one where he barely has a chance to work with his players, let alone sit down and discuss a new contract. So I imagine should talks begin over a potential contract extension of Mikel Arteta, that will be one for the summer, as is the case with so many of the players as well that we've already discussed on previous videos when it comes to contracts, Lacazette and Nketiah, that sort of thing. Interesting, he was asked about summer transfer business. We're miles away from the summer transfer window opening. Obviously, still an awful lot of football to go there, but he was still asked about the summer transfer business and how things are shaping up in that regard. And it was quite interesting again. I mean, he says that everything's absolutely already planned for the summer, but then he did also caveat that with the fact that a lot of it depends on where they finish. Kind of similar to last season when he said before the window opened there was 3 different ways that Arsenal could go. They'd sort of planned for 3 different scenarios, and that was basically finishing in Europe, finishing outside of Europe, finishing in the Champions League, finishing in the Europa League, or not finishing in Europe at all. And obviously that all figures with the bonus money and the money you receive from being in Europe. And I think he kind of said fairly similar here. I'll go through the answer. When he was asked about summer transfer business, he said, we will see. We are planning what's going to happen in the summer. It will depend on where we finish, how we finish. I think we have to in the summer. I think what we have done in January is unprecedented for a club of this stature to do the amount of transactions that we have had to do. Tells you all. Sorry, it's an absolute mess, this transcript. Let me start that again. We will see. We are planning what's going on in the summer. It will depend on where we finish and how we finish. I think what we did in January is unprecedented of a club of this stature to do that amount of transactions. Tells you where we were. I think it was very much needed, and if you want to improve, you want to do that. It's where you have things in-house and you believe that you can improve on it. Externally acquiring players to go to the next level. Everything is planned, and let's see what the market can bring and what the last few months can bring to the club. So basically very similar to last season, saying that everything is planned already, but those plans are working probably to a few different case scenarios. Where Arsenal finish, are they going to find themselves in a European spot? Can they somehow get themselves in contention for the Champions League, or can they win the Europa League and get into the Champions League? Should that happen, and then obviously the money level is going to be up here somewhere. Should Arsenal qualify for the Europa League, the money level is going to be down here, and should they qualify for nothing and just be in the Premier League next season, the financial situation is going to be down here. You do also have the prospect of selling players to raise money, but again, a lot of that, the money that they would raise from selling players, you would think, has to go from covering at least some of the huge losses that they've made in the last year during the coronavirus pandemic, which total into the hundreds of millions of pounds. So I'm expecting it to be another busy summer. I think the way that things are sort of moving forward under Mikel and the massive changes that have happened just in the space of the last couple of years, I think that will continue. We'll see another big overhaul of the squad in terms of some players going out and players coming in, because Mikel absolutely wants to get his squad in place now, and this summer will be key to that. But you also have to consider that, as I've said, the financial situation at the club and how much money is going to be made available either by the owner trying to find some sort of freeing up some cash in the club's reserves if there is any left, or by selling players, and hopefully by qualifying for Europe and at least bringing in some extra prize money that way. Interesting comments on Folarin Balogun. Mikel's still absolutely sticking to the line that he's feeling very, very positive about Balogun, and that he will stay. Obviously, with clock is absolutely ticking now with Balogun. We've got about 4 months left of his contract. He's getting absolutely nowhere near the team at the moment, or near the first team squad. Still playing for the 23s. Lots of talk about the clubs that are interested in from home and abroad. Germany, Italy, AC Milan have been linked, and clubs in England. You know, there'll be so many trying to sniff around, trying to get this deal pre-contract agreement done with Balogun. From what we understand, that hasn't been done yet. There is no agreement in place with any club, despite the widespread interest from Europe and at home. And Mikel now is continuing to say that he's positive that he still believes that Balogun could well stay put. This is what he had to say. He said, "I'm pretty positive about it, and every time I speak to him, he mentions the same thing, that he's determined to stay here and that he wants to stay here." We've had some really positive conversations with his agent as well, and Edu is in charge of that. He's been spending a lot of time and energy to make that deal happen because it's important for us to keep our talent in the house. And what we can guarantee is that we're doing everything we can to keep him. So for all you Balogun fans out there, and I know there's plenty of them, Mikel's certainly giving you some encouragement there that he might well still stay. I've always felt that he's going to go. Just because of how difficult it's going to be to keep him right now because of the time pressure. But you never know. I mean, the Nketiah situation is an interesting one. Eddie obviously getting absolutely no minutes as well. Mikel did speak about Eddie in the press conference. If you want to go and have a read about that, it's up on the Arsenal website, what he had to say. And the fact that Eddie and Balogun have the same agent, it could be an interesting one. It could be a case now of, look, we might be letting Eddie go in the summer because he's not getting enough game time. That is certainly going to see Balogun promoted should he stay, and so that might work in Arsenal's favour. And the fact that the agent's the same, it might work in his favour because the agent might well be considering that when he's thinking about his client's prospects. And as much as Balogun is, it's Balogun's decision, you would think it's his contract, it's his career. Agents, we know, have very, very massive, important roles in all this, and they're the people who are whispering in the players' ears. So if Arsenal can convince the agent that Balogun is going to get even more opportunities next season because Eddie's going to go, then maybe that will help convince the agent, and that will help convince Balogun. So interesting one that we'll have to keep an eye on. I personally absolutely hope he stays because I think he's a big talent, and I do think the reason he's not playing at the moment is purely down to this contract situation, and that's why we're seeing, certainly towards the end, you know, considering how well he played in Europa League, you would have thought he would be getting more opportunities now in the first team, certainly in the squad. And the fact he's been taken out of it altogether certainly makes you feel like the contract situation and the ongoing talks are having an effect on him potentially getting in more squads. And it's not just Balogun, you see that, if you see it all around Europe with players at the moment who are entering the final months of their contract. A couple of quick ones before we go. Smith Rowe had a scan yesterday. Good news on that regard, on that hip injury that he suffered against Leicester at the weekend. Mikel says it doesn't look like a significant injury, but he was in discomfort. And then he says for the rest of the players, hopefully everybody should be okay. So it looks like just Smith Rowe from the Leicester game was the only really injury that Arsenal picked up from that, which is good news. And Mikel saying that the scan results showing that injury is not a significant one. So hopefully Smith Rowe, even if he does miss out this weekend, he shouldn't be out for too long. And that is very important because we've all seen what an important player he has become. And quickly on William Saliba, a player I know how many of you are interested in, and Mavropanos as well, actually. He was asked about both of them and their development and the way they're playing at the moment out on loan. And he was asked, you know, how close an eye are you keeping on these two and what they are doing out on their loan spells. Saliba obviously has been very, very impressive for Nice by all accounts since he's moved there. And Mikel said, we're having meetings very often to assess what they're doing, and obviously we're getting all the information and watching their games because I want to keep a very close eye on what they're doing. We were talking yesterday, for example, with Ben Napper, who is our loan manager and who is in charge of monitoring everything that they are doing, and we're in contact with the players. Let's see, it's good news that they are playing, and it's good news that they have the possibility to have a lot of minutes because that's going to give us a much better perception of where they are and how we can use them. I mean, Saliba especially has been doing very, very well. Mavropanos, in fact, has been doing very well. Has been getting good rave reviews in Germany. Always kind of feel like Mavropanos is one that, you know, ultimately he's not going to have a long-term future at Arsenal, and it could well be a move in the summer in terms of a permanent move. But Saliba especially, given the amount of money Arsenal invested and what we've certainly told by Arsenal, that he still remains very much part of the future for the club, even though he's been sent out on loan and hadn't featured obviously before that. It's good to see him playing well, and he did. Yes, he made the mistake at the weekend. For the guy, it wasn't even that bad a mistake. It was just a ball out of defence that got cut out. We see it time and time again. The only reason it was sort of ended up being a mistake was because the guy, I can't remember what team they were playing, actually smacked one in the top corner from 30 yards from it. So it wasn't even that much of an error. It was just a poor ball out from the back which got picked off, which we see time and time again. But I mean, I think that went down as his first error that he's made leading to a goal, certainly since he's moved to Nice. So, and you look at the reports, he got Player of the Month there, and he's been doing very, very well. And certainly reporters over there that I follow say he's been doing well and has made a big difference for Nice, who have turned their season around really since him and a couple of other additions in January arrived at the club. So that's good news for Arsenal, because we all want to see William Saliba come back and be successful. I think we're all frustrated at his lack of game time. Certainly been handled awfully, I think, by Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. Especially the fact that he wasn't going to get any game time in the first half of the season, and they had to do all they can to get him out, all they could to get him out in the summer transfer window, and the failure to get him that loan move to St Etienne on deadline day. You know, you just look back at it now and just think it was an absolute waste of a few months for Saliba and his development. So Arsenal absolutely handled that terribly. And they need to shoulder a lot of responsibility for that. So it's good that they finally got him out in January, and it's good that he's making big impressions over in France, and hopefully that's going to stand him in very good stead for when he comes back in the summer and can really push on to become a regular next season, because that's what we all want to see from Saliba, because there's no doubting that he is one hell of a talent, as he's showing it right now for Nice. Right, that's about it from me, my press conference reaction. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said, the full transcript of what was said you can find over on arsenal.com. There's some tidbits on my social media as well, for quotes from Mikel Arteta on the likes of Balogun as well. So please do head over to that and find out all the latest news. Obviously on goal.com we've got the story up there on Mikel Arteta and his very strong response to those links with Barcelona. So until tomorrow, perhaps enjoy the rest of your day. I will try and pop back on and do another video in the morning looking ahead as we get closer and closer to that big game for Arsenal against Burnley at the weekend. Until then, everyone, enjoy your day. I'll speak to you very, very soon.